Welcome to the Darkstream, Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see you here. And it was interesting. I lost my starting position because we've got two new players who are really good. And when I finally got in, not finally got in, I actually got in about halfway through the first half, and I was just terrible. Totally overmatched. Probably was the very worst player on the field, technically. And so, and also probably one of the oldest. So I was actually the oldest on the field at that time. So it's kind of funny when in the second half they ended up, our best player got a yellow card and had to come out. So the captain told me to come in, and I just figured, we were under a lot of pressure. We were actually ahead 1-0 against the run of play, and so I just figured, what the hell, I'll just go for it. And I had a nice run up the one side for about 60 meters, and actually beat 3 of their players before the fourth one took me down with a foul. But it kind of helped turn the game around a little bit. Welcome, My Shield is Discussed. Good name. But what was funny was that, I knew I was just in there for like 5 minutes. Because that's how long in our league, that's how long the yellow card players have to sit out. And so we got a free kick on the other side, and my teammate put a nice kick over, but it was a little too high for the 2 tall guys in the middle who were going for headers. So I just ran onto it, hoping that the defenders would miss it, and lo and behold, they did, barely. I mean, it literally touched the top of the head of the defender closest to me. And so I managed to catch it on my left foot, control it, and then with the next touch, banked it in off the right post with my left foot. And so it was really funny, because the captain was like, "Great job. Go out now." So I went off the field, and I assured them, if they needed another goal, just let me know. I'd be available. And so it's pretty funny. One of my longtime teammates and our previous captain referred very sarcastically to the magic left, because he knows I have no left foot. And anyhow, we hung on and we won 2-0, which was a great upset. And it was a lot of fun. We know a number of the players on the other team, and they know they're good. We know they're good. I mean, we're good, but they're really good. Most of you who are Americans would not believe what these guys can do with the ball with their feet. I mean, they're all awesome. And so it was a lot of fun to actually upset them for like the first time in 5 years. But the point is that you just have to keep trying. You just have to not sit. If I had sat there and tried to defend myself for my performance in the first half, none of my teammates would have taken it seriously. We all know. I knew. They knew. And so, when the coach told me, or when the captain told me, you're sitting at the beginning of the second half, I agreed with him. The guy that he had starting over me had played much better than I did. But, you have to just If you get 5 minutes, take advantage of your 5 minutes. Make it work. Do your best. Sometimes, sometimes it works. Nick is right. Put another quarter in. You know, even if even if the game is, you know, seems like it's over, even if the game is over, start a new game. You know, and um, that's what I would encourage you to do. Is when you're down, just step back, and then when you get your next chance, don't play it the same way. I was, one of my teammates told me, he said, you were so much better in the second half. He said the first half you just you played like you were intimidated. And frankly, I kind of was. I mean, when you're playing, I don't, if you haven't played soccer, you won't know what it feels like. But when you're playing a better team, it feels like you're outnumbered. You know, I made this terrible pass at one point because I had the ball, I broke up the field. I looked around, I saw three opposing players around me. And so I figured I don't even have time. I mean, they're closing in on my fast. So I just like kicked it up at an angle into an open space, thinking that one of my teammates has to be there. But no, there was a fourth. I mean, I actually stood there and just looked for a second afterwards in sort of shock because the five closest players to me were all opposing players. How does that even happen? You know, there's supposedly 10 other people on my team. Where are they? You know, um, you know, it was a really bad play, and actually one of my teammates actually yelled at me at the time, like, "What are you doing?" And so, no, this isn't the first game. This was our fourth game. Um, but no, it's not a game for sissies at all. I mean, that was what was so difficult about these guys is that, I mean, they were really, really aggressive. They didn't hold back at all. Usually, if they respect your ability, your technical abilities, they play off you a little bit because if you come in aggressively against somebody who's technically superior, they'll just go right around you, and then you're out of position. But when when they don't respect your technical abilities, and these guys don't respect pretty much anybody's technical abilities because they're so high level themselves, they just come at you like a freight train every single time, and it gets in your head, because you know it's coming, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? How can I get rid of the ball right away? How can I can I get around this person? I'm pinned against the sideline. What do I do? And, so I just ended up in the first half, I ended up just basically giving up on trying to get forward and just focused on, at least I'm not going to let my guy score. And that worked okay. But then, like I said, in the second half, I knew I was only in for 5 minutes. So just go hard. And I was kind of surprised on that one long run. I thought the first guy was going to stop me, but somehow I managed to get past him, and then past the second one, and then past the third one. And then finally the fourth guy really had I'd actually got the ball past him before he could get to me. So he had really no choice but to take me down if he didn't want to let me go in alone on goal. Frankly, I was kind of glad to get taken down because I'd already sprinted about 60 meters flat out. I'm not sure I had enough energy to make the next 20, 30 meters before shooting, especially with, 5 guys on my tail. But the point is that you never know. As long as you keep trying, as long as you keep pushing, you know, 9 times out of 10, you know, the defenders had the ball away. But maybe it's the 10th time. You know, tonight, it happened to be the 10th time. And so, um, and of course, and this is something that a lot of low status guys don't understand is that if you're low status, but you come through for your guys, they love it. They think it's hilarious. You know, um, the best player on our team, the one who was coming back in when I went out after scoring, um, you know, he he did the full like, you know, high five, bro hug, and then started calling me super sub, which is kind of hilarious because I don't even play his position, so I shouldn't have been in there. But the point is that just keep pushing forward. And if you fail, and if you get knocked down, get up and try again. Get up and keep pushing forward. I mean, the funny thing is, we've played 4 games now, and I've probably been the key player in 2 of those games, despite the fact that I'm at this point the weakest starter on the team and the oldest player. So don't get frustrated. Don't get worked up. I mean, maybe it's easier for me because I've been playing soccer for a long, long time. So I've gone through good periods, I've gone through bad periods, but they always come to an end. So don't get too high when the success comes. Don't get arrogant. Don't get too low when you fail. I was pretty annoyed last week when the penalty on me in the last 2 minutes cost us the win. Wasn't my fault. The referee got the rules completely wrong, but I still felt responsible. So to come out and play terribly against the best team in the league was not encouraging, but you just don't worry about it. You get up, you keep running, you push harder, you change what you're doing. Don't keep doing the same thing. So put in another quarter and try a different technique, try a different tactic, try a different strategy. I just decided the one thing I wasn't going to do is that I wasn't going to back down to this wing who had been dominating me. And it worked. So anyhow, but speaking of things working, why does nothing work today? Why? It's just astonishing to me. I mean, I've been using YouTube for a year and a half, right? Just changing the cover image of the upcoming stream, and welcome Swift and Silent Bear. It's just a basic thing that takes no time. You upload a JPEG and there you are, right? Suddenly, it's not working. I get a unexpected JSON error. Why? Well, the reason's pretty simple. It's engineered failure. It's intentional. They don't want people using the classic live streaming system. They want people to move to they don't want people to use Creator Studio Classic. They want them to use the new beta, whatever it is, beta Creator Studio. And so it just doesn't work. They intentionally make it not work. Now, it's possible that, as Daniel Pereira says, someone screwed up their asynchronous form submission. Maybe they did, but more likely it's planned obsolescence. They don't want people continuing to use this stuff, and so they intentionally get in your way to prevent it. And you see this time and time and time again. It's astonishing how many perfectly good software programs that used to work really well don't work at all. Look at, if you do video and you're on a Macintosh, there's a program called Final Cut. And Final Cut used to be excellent. I don't know anyone who does video on the Macintosh who doesn't bitch about Final Cut now. You know, the changes that they made significantly reduced its utility. Z Malfoy says planned obsolescence is a form of usury. I don't know that it's usury per se, but it is definitely related to usury, because what a lot of the software companies have gone to is software as a service, because they want you to keep paying over and over and over again to be able to use it. And so they want to make what you're using non-functional after a certain period of time in order to make you pay for it again. Static says, how much of that is nostalgia and looking at the past with rose-tinted glasses? None of it. Final Cut, I mean, I don't even use Macintosh. And I had heard people speak reverently about Final Cut and you know, desperately wishing that they had something like Final Cut working on the Windows system or Linux. And no one's ever been able to do that. But what's interesting is that regular, you know, Final Cut on the Macintosh doesn't work like Final Cut used to. Yeah, Apple has been caught several times now intentionally slowing down old iPhones, so you have to use it. Even free services like Skype. I stopped using, I hadn't updated Skype on my system for something like 3 years. It worked fine, and I noticed that everybody kept, and finally, Skype, the old version of Skype, they were going to obsolete the old version of Skype that I was using, but they wouldn't update it. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. And so, and this is true of so many different things. You know, for example, somebody was, but there's another element to it too. Another element is that people are lazy, stupid, and nonsensical. You know, they don't let, I mean, it's funny. Somebody just asked if there's any way to download videos on unauthorized. Well, you must not be an unauthorized subscriber, because yes, you click the download button. Not difficult, you know. I mean, I can't tell you how many. I mean, I can tell you how many. It was only like 4, but it was very frustrating when people would email me saying, "I want to cancel unauthorized and I can't. Can you do it for me?" No, I can't do it for you. It's your account. You know? Well, how do I do it? Go to your account and click account and then click cancel. You know, I don't know how it's possible to be any easier than that. Somebody complained in the chat or in the comments to yesterday's video here on YouTube. They were frustrated about the fact that I said something about the Alt Hero Volume 1 paperbacks going out to the backers. They said it's so annoying to not get any updates on that. And I've sent out emails to all the backers repeatedly. I've put posts up on the blog. I've talked about it on the Darkstream. I've literally utilized every form of communication I have except for personal telephone calls to a number I don't have and sending carrier pigeons. What else can possibly be done? Or in some cases you get we say we've sent out all for weeks we said we're going to be sending out the omnibuses. We're going to be sending out the omnibuses. If you've changed your address, make sure you let us know. We were doing this for 2 months. So nobody, we get lots of people saying, okay, I've changed my address. Okay, we changed the addresses, etc., etc. Then I put up a post saying, okay, all the omnibuses have gone out to the backers. So I promptly get at least 2 emails saying, can I change my address? No, you can't change your address. What part of they've already been sent out on a parking ticket? Because, if we all put stuff off, if we all don't do the obvious thing, so some of this definitely falls on us. Not most of it. But, I do think it's important to keep in mind that some of this does fall on us, and we should at least try to fix that which is within our bailiwick. Welcome 1.61803339 exclamation point. I'm not crazy about GIMP. I don't know what it is I don't like about GIMP, but I tried installing it and I don't know why they don't make it work like Photoshop. That severely puzzles me. I like the idea of GIMP. I love open source software. I think that LibreOffice in many ways is actually better than Microsoft Word now. PC Dude says GIMP is the best. How is GIMP better than Photoshop? In what way? I'm perfectly happy to give it a try, but the last time I made a serious effort at using it was years ago. But anyhow, I'd be interested to see. But I mean, the thing I love about LibreOffice is they don't try to change anything from Microsoft Word. In fact, LibreOffice is much more similar to the way that Microsoft Word used to work than Microsoft Word itself now, because it's pre the ribbon and all that sort of thing. So I'm always very happy when somebody tells me that yeah, but see, that's not where I'm, yes, it may be. First of all, I don't think it's the best free software you've seen because I think that LibreOffice is better. But here's the point: why not lay it out as well as Photoshop? What's stopping them? Sir Hamster says, yeah, MS Office had to enhance user experience. Yeah, that's correct. Anytime they're enhancing the user experience unnecessarily, it's just that's what tends to break it. CorelDRAW used to be very good, but I didn't like their what they have done trying to replace or compete with Photoshop. Um, but again, it's remarkable, this planned obsolescence stuff, the way that so many things just stop working, don't work the way they should, um, don't function. And again, part of that is our fault because we choose to take the short-term approach. And let me give you an example of one area where we didn't do that, and that's with Castelia House. We intentionally made a decision to set it up in such a way that the most important thing about it was that it did not create any risk. So there's no there is no download option on phone. So so we set Castelia up because the main problem that publishing companies have is that they get themselves in trouble because if you print more books, you get a better price, but then you have to sell them all. And so publishing turns into this game of constantly trying to manage your stock. And we knew we didn't have time for that. We didn't have any desire to waste our time doing that. So we intentionally set it up so that no matter what, we can't go out of business on the basis of losing money because we made a mistake in that way, no matter what. Everything is set up to minimize risk. Now, does that mean that we're less profitable than we could be? Yeah. We probably make half the profit that we could if we managed to do everything ideally. And I'm glad to hear that a couple of you are saying that you got your backers editions today or yesterday. I honestly think that's the highest quality book product that we've printed yet. We took our time with it, and it really works. And so, our books are not the cheapest. If you just want to, save money, we decided get an EPUB, get an ebook, get it real cheap. If you want to get books really, really cheap, then all you need to do is back our projects for the digital editions. We always set up a very, very inexpensive way to do that. Well, that's kind of interesting. JB14 says, set the page to the desktop setting and you can download it on your phone. That makes sense. And Mig says the quality is great. I think he's talking about Alt Hero Volume 1. So, but you have to make that commitment. And you have to be willing to pay the price when people decide to overlook you because they can get it cheaper. But here's the thing. We're not playing in the cheap arena. That's Kindle Unlimited. And what people have learned, and where there's a mistake, I think, is that even if you're extremely successful, even if you sell millions of books on Kindle Unlimited, you have no audience. We've learned that from working with a number of different authors who are very successful on Kindle Unlimited, and none of them have shown that they have any legs when it comes to print, when it comes to comics, when it comes to that sort of thing. I have no thoughts whatsoever on the interaction of credit, debit cards, and unauthorized. There's a whole massive world out there of interactions. If one card doesn't work, try another one. That's all I can recommend. You know, there's no fixing this stuff. And again, that's another problem why things don't work. How do we fix it? Who do we even talk to? There's no way. There's no one. You know, that's one of the problems. And so, Dr. Jeep says, even getting the right part of a car is impossible unless you go online first, get the actual part number, and triple check that which is in the box actually matches the part. Yeah, the more that society gets dumbed down, the worse these problems are going to become. And the more important it is to stop moving towards the cheapest, easiest, short-term alternative. Here's the interesting thing. Because we didn't focus on the cheap, short-term alternative, we have more print book sales than we have ebook sales in the average month now. Think about how incredible that is in this day and age. Not only that, but as of, I think 4 days ago, we actually surpassed our annual goal. We have certain goals that we have to hit if we want to maintain certain discounts and so forth. And so being able to hit that several months early is very significant. It's very useful. You know, I love ebooks myself. Absolutely love them. But it's really nice to have the physical books. You know, by the way, speaking of physical books, you know, these are the two of the 1958 edition. By the way, I've got a question. Would you guys prefer the original size? This is what's called octavo, and our smaller books are published in this size. The larger books, like Throne of Bones and stuff, they are Royal Octavo. So instead of being 5 inches tall, they're 8 inches tall. So if we're being strictly traditional, we would publish the new junior classics in this size. So which would you prefer, 5.5 or 8.5 in terms of the size of the books? Obviously, by the way, I should mention, we're going to keep the print size the same, or not the print size, we're going to keep the page counts the same, but we're going to make the print a little bit larger so that it's easier to read. So it's basically Octavo versus Royal Octavo. Well, here, let me show you the actual, I think I can show you the actual difference here. Hang on a second. Here we go. No, it's not going to be larger. It's not going to be larger type in a smaller book. Okay, so if you notice, this is the 5.5, right? They cost the same. It doesn't matter to us. This is the 5.5, the Octavo, and you can see it's exactly the same size. You know, it's a thinner book, but it's exactly the same size as this, right? So, is it exactly the same? Pretty much. It's a little bit higher. This is the Royal Octavo size. So you can see that it's got a bit more heft to it. And so what that means is that we can do let's see here. There. Yeah, we can do a larger font. So see, it's interesting because now when people are seeing the two together, they're leaning towards Royal. Okay. Interesting. So it's about half and half. No, there's not going to be any there's not going to be any thinner versions. So, we'll see. Let's see. Royal. Could you offer both sizes? That's possible. That's possible. Smaller is less shipping cost, but again, that doesn't really matter. What kind of hardcover? It'll be like this. Case laminate. It's a very high quality print. Very rugged. So, I mean, my initial inclination was in fact, I was planning to just go with the smaller one just because this is what I grew up with. But then I remembered that I really loved when I was a kid these really big books that were really easy to read. And then it occurred to me that for a lot of parents who are reading to their kids, the larger text might be nice. So anyhow, we'll see. So we'll talk to the production team. It's possible that we can just, let people choose. But I don't know. No, the larger one is the Royal Octavo is a very good size. I mean, this is a very standard size. It's actually more common now than the Octavo. So, So anyhow, we'll see. I mean, it looks like it's about 2/3 Royal Octavo, 1/3 Octavo at this point. So we'll see. 4-point tech. So, all right. Well, thanks for your input. That's very helpful. I mean, sometimes it's useful when the There Will Be War series. Well, the one that we've published, that's the Royal Octavo at the larger size. The Royal is industry standard hardback size. There is no really industry standard hardback size, but that's when you see a big sized hardcover, that's the size that it is. We'll be launching the campaign very soon, quite possibly next week. Are you going to improve the art for the books? I don't know how to answer that because they had different art in every single edition. So we're probably going to. I mean, the art is going to be really good because our color printing is excellent because of our comics, and so. It will be color illustrated. There's not going to be a ton of illustrations. They're mostly going to be classic illustrations, old public domain stuff from the period. No, there were illustrations. I mean, I can show you. There weren't very many, but and it depended on the issue. So, like for example, they had about 4 or 5 of these full color, full page illustrations. I really like the title page that they did. We're probably going to do a very similar title page. Um, but then this version actually had a lot of these little illustrations in like this. Um, whereas this is the 1958, the 19, but they weren't really very particularly good. The 1918 only had the full page ones, so we're probably going to do that instead. No, I'm probably not going to do a Darkstream with Martin because this is so far past his bedtime. So, um, but anyhow, it's going to be, they're going to be great, regardless of what size we do it. Like I said, I think we're leaning towards the Royal Octavo, but the we're going to work on, we can't use this particular art. I mean, I actually quite like this art on this book for 1958. That's obviously Huck Finn, and I like the way that they have it on the spine here. So we'll see. We'll see. One step at a time. But, it's probably going to be about, it'll be about $350 for the whole series. But if you just want to get the digital, I think we'll make that available for something like $35. And then if you just want a single volume, they're going to be about $50 a piece. So they are going to be expensive. There's no way around that. Printing that many, printing 10 hardcovers, there's 10. Printing 10 hardcovers and shipping them all around the world is fairly expensive. And so there's 10 books in the series, 10 volumes. But, I'm not really that into saying, you need to get this. But what I will say is if you have kids, they're absolutely worth it. I mean, when I had kids, one of the first things that I did was hunt these down and get them. And all of my kids have read all of them. And what that means is that all of them have a sound foundation covering everything from Leonidas to Alice in Wonderland, etc., etc. We're also going to make, this is very expensive, but for $500, it's going to be possible to get a customized, personalized title page. And so, for those who are really interested in the heirloom side of things, that might be interesting. I mean, that's also partly just so that people can support the cause. Whenever we do a crowdfunding campaign, we always have something that is, somewhat ridiculous in terms of prices, just so that people can support it, that have the resources and so forth. All right, Mick, well, your band. I mean, here we're talking about doing something that is going to have a fundamental impact on entire generations of children. And he's bored. Well, have you seen Taleb's Incerto Deluxe Edition? I think I have it, actually. So, and here's the thing: if you're not able to do it at launch, then that's okay. They'll be for sale. They'll be for sale. It's not a problem. Somebody asked, would you be able to accept the money without the purchase of the books? I already own most of them, but want to support. Well, I'm not sure that you own the. First of all, you don't own the 1918 edition, most likely. Secondly, we're going to make some changes to improve at least two of them. One of the books, the 1958 edition, is actually much better than the 1908. In fact, it's this one. This is a much better version than the 1918 one that is public domain, because the 1918 one, half of it is just selections from Alice in Wonderland. We don't need that many. We need like two. So we're going to improve it. Oh, you do own the 19. Well then, but anyhow, it's very easy. You can always support the campaign and then just email us and tell us you don't need to send it to us. There is no link to buy these books yet. We're going to begin a campaign in a week or two, and I will of course let you know. So this one is volume 6. Stories About Boys and Girls is the name in the 1918 edition. The name in the older one is different. It is, let me see, what is the title? In general, the 1918 edition is better, but there are two books where I would say that the newer version is better. The 1958 is better. Let's see here. Yeah, it was called Old Fashioned Tales in the 1918 edition. So, all right. Well, I'm tired, and so I'm going to let you go. Oh, I didn't get to the super chats. I need to do the super chats. Hang on a second. My apologies. Okay. Mig G, can you recommend any ebook reader? Trying to stay away from the Amazon one. I prefer Aldico on Android, just on an Android tablet. If you want translations, then use Moonreader combined with Golden Dict. Marie Golay says, screw digital, books are forever. I like digital books. I like to have both. Speaking of There Will Be War, any chance for more hardcovers? Yes, but we're not going to do them in that larger size. We're going to do them in the Octavo size, and we're not going to do doubles like we did. I think that was a mistake. I'd kill for a whole set to put on the shelf. Yeah, I very much agree. Duralex Sedlex said, what Castelia house book would you recommend I read next? I love to throw in Arts of Dark and Light, War Dogs, and Quantum Mortis. Read The Missionaries. It's hilarious. Marie Golay has a dirty mind. She says, hee 5.5 or 8.5. We'll pass on that one. Bigger is better. Royal Octavo, please, says Alex Law. Marie Golay says, any chance for making physical merch characters to sell? In addition, does anyone have Gunpla? Let me know, unbuilt. Well, we are working on the Rebel figurine. GSGS says, IT guy at work says no download option on phone. I think we addressed that. Go to the web version on your phone, and then you'll have a download option on your phone. Ganji Blob Flanka says, I make machines for construction sites that last 30 years if looked after. Software companies copy-paste a product that deliberately breaks in a year. Yeah, that's a problem. But the problem is a lot of the consumer products, break pretty rapidly too. I bought a grill the other day, and I was very surprised. I assumed it was at least a 5-year guarantee, and they told me it was only 2 years. I was not happy about that. Dang, forward your email, not you, whoever is whining. Yeah, that's always a good idea. Frank Underwood says, the original developers leave and the new ones build features on the old code without really understanding the old code. Over time, the code becomes more and more convoluted and impossible to work on. That's a good explanation for cruft, but I'm not sure that it's... I think it's only part of it. I think part of it is also the management. How do we unite Proverbs, which said God hates the wicked, with John 3:16, which said God loved the world? Aren't the wicked of the world? It doesn't say God loves everything about the world. There's no contradiction there at all. God loves the world and God hates the wicked in part because the wicked destroy the world. 1.6180339 very generously throws in $25 and asks for nothing in return. Very selfless. Asparagus Bear says, "Hi Vox, do you ever sit in that chair stroking a kitten while you're making evil plans? Mwahaha." No, I don't. I have been known to sit in it holding a Ridgeback who is afraid of fireworks or thunder. He literally sits here and like shakes. Taylor Larson said, "Finished A Throne of Bones and it was excellent." Thanks, Taylor. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear it. And Unauthorized Deplorable unsuccessfully attempted to become a paid subscriber. You can't become a paid subscriber through super chats. So, but thank you for the super chat. And Bolster throws in 2. Thank you. And Clark Smith says, "Hi Vox, just want to show my support. You remind me of my favorite Sunday school teacher I had back in high school. What's your opinion of the Drudge Report?" I think it's great. It fulfills a great role. Seems it's like it's not as pro-Trump as it used to be. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I suspect that Drudge doesn't have much to do with running it anymore. It's ironic. The more successful people get, the less they actually have to do with the products that they put out, unfortunately. So, Vox, if aliens come to Earth and require people to deny Christ or get beheaded, what do you recommend people do? Get beheaded. That's an easy one. It doesn't take aliens to do that. That happens to people, in too many countries around the world already. So, did that and Promethean 2. Okay. Then Awaken the Nightland, John C. Wright. So, all right. Well, thanks very much. That'll do it for tonight. We will see you at the next Darkstream. I'm Vox Day.